hidden traps, false hopes. Today, we're going to crack the code and unmask the secrets for online house hunting. Are you up for the challenge? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips and 1 bonus tip on how to shop for a home online. Let's get into it.
Tip number 1 is you just want to stay up to date. Now, what do I mean by this? Now, as agents, we put our listings in our local MLS or multiple listing service. And sometimes people will shop online using third-party sites that are not directly tied to the MLS. So I'll give you an example. No, I'm not really picking on Zillow, not really. But before Zillow became a brokerage, one of the things that was a big headache was that I would get a client who would call and say, Dietric, I want to see this home on, and they would send me the Zillow link, right? I want to see this home on Thursday. Let's say it's Tuesday. I would look up that information in the MLS and find out actually that home sold last year. So it's no longer available, which they would then be disappointed. And that's the problem with using some third-party sites. Sometimes the information from the MLS doesn't automatically update. Sometimes there's a delay, sometimes things get missed. So you just want to make sure that whatever home you're looking at, you run that through your agent to make sure that it's actually available and not something that's either sold or that's already in escrow. Tip number 2, see it to believe it. Now, when you're shopping for a house, oftentimes you're looking at the pictures and you want to schedule a showing. So you're going to call your agent, go in and see that house. You want to do this. And there's a big reason for this. Because when you go in the house, you get to vet out everything that's going on with that house. You get to see every nook and cranny of that house. And you may not know which questions to necessarily ask to go through that vetting process. Your agent is gonna help you vet through those questions. So you just wanna make sure that you go in and kick the tires, so to speak, and vet out everything that's going on with that house. So when you go in, make sure that you are looking at every nook and cranny of that house. You're getting ready to spend an exorbitant amount of money. For some of you, this is probably gonna be your life savings that you're coming out of the pocket for. So you don't wanna just spend any money before you've had a chance to go in and see it. And you definitely don't wanna put any offers on a property before you've had a chance to go in and see it. Now I know you'll probably say some investors do that, but I'm not talking to investors. I'm talking to just ordinary people, probably such as yourself, who are not looking at this from an investment standpoint. This is the place that you're gonna live. So you wanna just go in and look at everything you can about this property. That leads me to tip number 3. Pictures can be deceiving. Now, as agents, we are taught and trained to put the properties that we're listing in the best possible light. What does this mean? We're gonna hire photographers to come in and take pictures. And photographers are sometimes gonna use little tips and techniques to put that property in the best possible light. So what do they use? Let's say a room is not as big as it may seem. So they're gonna use a fisheye lens to make the room look bigger. They're gonna use certain techniques to make colors and textures pop. They might add stuff to the scene that's actually not in the house. So for instance, if you're looking at a property outside, like it's the outside view, right? You may see this great clear sky. You may see that there are no power lines in the picture. The houses next door to it look pretty immaculate. But then when you get there, you're like, there's a power line that runs directly to the backyard, and the houses to the right and to the left, they're atrocious. As agents, we're not gonna put those bad features of the home into the MLS, at least as much as we can. So that's why pictures can be deceiving. Another way that we kind of work some magic is the way that they take the pictures. So if you put the camera angle low, it makes the room look a lot larger. That's just the secret tip that I'm giving you right now. So now you know some of the inside secrets. Don't say anybody never told you that. And finally, tip number 4, this is my bonus tip, and it probably could have been tip number 1 because this is really important, is that you wanna just do data research. You wanna look at historical data on that home. Now, if you've ever bought a car, chances are you probably wanted to see something called the Carfax report, which shows pretty much the chain of what that car has gone through, whether there were insurance claims, who's owned it, it's been in accidents. You wanna know all of that stuff because you just wanna make sure that whatever you're purchasing is gonna live up to the hype, I guess you could say. Well, a house has the very similar historic data inside of it. Like all that information is readily available to you. So you may wanna look up and see what this home sold for over the last couple of years. If it's an investor who bought it for $200,000, but now they're listing the property for 1.2, you may feel that there's no amount of renovations that you could have done that are worth $1 million. I'm just saying that there are some homes that are doing that right now. Another thing that you might want to look at is the ownership chain. For instance, if there's a lien on the title, that may be something that might kind of put the kibosh on your deal. So I remember one of my first deals, I sold a condo for a client and didn't realize the chain of command. Like, I was a newbie, so I didn't order a title preliminary report. When we got into escrow, there was something on title. They had a second mortgage. They had not paid off on it, and because of that, the second mortgage company put a lien on the property. But we can't sell it until we cure that lien. They were asking for a certain dollar amount, which if we would have gave them that, it would have wiped everything that my client would have got. It would have wiped it totally out. So I was able to negotiate something where they would take that money that was gonna come from the sale and they would settle it and say, we'll settle it for X amount of dollars. Now, again, this is just something that you want to be aware of. Another thing is that if you are in escrow and there's another person on the title who was not previously privy to any of this information, let's say you signed a purchase agreement, the seller agreed to it, and you guys are in escrow. Well, if there's somebody else on title who's never signed any of that paperwork, your deal is officially done for. That's why you just want to make sure that you are pulling historical data on that property. Now, your agent, if they're worth their salt, is going to give you all of this information. But I'm just arming you with the tools that if you're looking for a property online, these are 4 things that you want to just look out for. Now, there are way more things that you want to look out for. Those were just 4. But if you want to know some other things that you should look out for when you're getting ready to purchase a property, you probably want to watch this video next.